Ever wondered what Kickstarter's biggest scams in history are? Although everyone hopes for a successful Kickstarter campaign, there have been some high-profile failures. Kickstarter isn't trying to hide them either. In 2015, Kickstarter teamed up with Professor Ethan Mollick, a renowned expert in entrepreneurship from Wharton, to conduct an in-depth study as to why. Professor Mollick surveyed nearly 500,000 backers, and what he discovered may surprise you. The most jaw-dropping stat from the study: 9% of successful Kickstarter projects fail to ever deliver rewards. That means nearly 1 in every 10 successfully funded projects never ship what they promised. So Kickstarter must be full of scammers then, right? Well, not exactly. A scam is straight up fraud, meaning someone is lying to you to benefit themselves. And while there have been a handful of scams on Kickstarter, most projects that failed for honest reasons. In this video, I'm going to deep dive into the stories behind the biggest Kickstarter scams, but this will be a little different than the hundreds of other YouTube videos on this subject. I'll explore the cold hard facts and reveal some jaw-dropping truths about whether these projects were legitimate scams, just incompetent, or a combination of both. So whether you are an aspiring crowdfunding creator or backer, you'll leave this video with the knowledge you need to avoid these crowdfunding nightmares. Let's jump into the first story. This is a tale of imagination, intrigue, and a lesson in the importance of scientific credibility. You see, Triton captured the world's attention with a bold claim. They claim to have developed artificial gills that could let humans breathe underwater for up to 45 minutes. At first glance, it was a dream come true for swimmers and divers worldwide. Of course, the promise of exploring the deep blue sea without bulky scuba gear captured the imagination of many. But not everything that glitters is gold, because things went terribly wrong for Triton. Despite raising nearly $1 million from excited backers, experts started debunking Triton's lofty claims, revealing the technical flaws and potential safety risks of the product. So many backers who believed in this revolutionary technology quickly learned that it might not even be possible. See, there is only 1% oxygen in water instead of 20% in air. For Triton gills to work, 200 liters of water need to pass through the gills per minute. To put this in perspective, a typical garden hose will pump about 35 liters per minute. The Triton backers were left feeling deceived and disappointed, and the project's credibility was rapidly sinking. After much controversy, Triton refunded his backers and attempted to relaunch the product correctly. They explained that in their first campaign, they had chosen to keep the proprietary technology secret. What was this proprietary technology? Liquid oxygen. But this explanation didn't make sense either. You see, liquid oxygen is cryogenic, meaning it has to be stored at temperatures below -297 degrees Fahrenheit. This was obviously impossible. Still, the second campaign raised $500,000 before being banned by Indiegogo, meaning thankfully the backers got all their money back. It's pretty safe to say Triton was 100% a scam, but what lesson can we take away from the Triton saga? Sometimes, if it sounds too good to be true, it just might be. Triton's story is a stark reminder of the danger of products promising revolutionary technology without credible scientific backing or practical demonstrations. Before you back any project, especially one promising groundbreaking technology, do a little digging. Search for evidence of feasibility, ask for expert opinions, and check for real demonstrations. Triton's story isn't just a warning against deceit. It's a reminder for all of us in the crowdfunding world to separate the feasible from the far-fetched. Instead, make products that are grounded in reality. Speaking of making stuff, inspired by the chaos of making pillow forts with his daughter, Connor Lewis launched Fort in 2020 during COVID. His entrepreneurial spark was ignited after losing his job during the pandemic, leading to Fort's creation. It was an awesome idea. Magnet-filled foam structures designed to create mess-free forts. Using magnets instead of Velcro was what made it truly special, but also led to huge problems down the road, which we'll get to in a sec. In January 2021, Connor launched Fort on Kickstarter with a $25,000 goal. He raised $2 million in the first 24 hours, and by the end of the 30-day campaign, he had raised $3.1 million. Clearly a huge success, well, from the surface. After the Kickstarter ended, the prices of foam and magnets shot up to record highs. The magnets alone cost $60 per unit. On top of that, shipping prices around the world skyrocketed. Now, nearly 75% of all the forts sold on Kickstarter were at a 50% discount. Connor planned to essentially break even on these units. But with the huge increases in production and shipping costs, the final cost to produce a fort was nearly double what he sold it for. Connor was burning through cash, and on September 8, 2021, Connor put out an update on Kickstarter with some bad news. With the rising cost of production and fulfillment, he'd only be able to fulfill 25% of the orders with the remaining money. He asked backers to throw in another $99 to cover free shipping. Some backers received their fort sets, but many were left waiting. In the midst of all this, Connor appeared on an episode of Shark Tank, hoping that the sharks would help him get out of this mess. He was honest about the terrible situation he was in, and surprise, surprise, none of the sharks bit at the opportunity to invest. The episode ended with Connor in tears, showing just how difficult this journey had been for him. Despite Connor's unsuccessful stint on Shark Tank, the stream of orders for Fort only grew with his TV appearance, while his capacity to properly create and ship all of these orders only got worse. Complaints started pouring in, not just about the delays, but also the quality of the product. And even worse, safety concerns about the magnets started surfacing. Eventually, the Better Business Bureau and the Consumer Product Safety Commission received numerous reports from unhappy consumers about safety and quality issues. Many backers reported not receiving their orders, getting wrong items, or facing unresponsive customer service. Then, in a final blow, the CPSC issued a recall notice for choking and laceration risks associated with Fort's magnets. This ultimately led to Fort's closure in May of 2023, leaving backers without remedies for their defect products. Just this notice urging consumers to dispose of the Forts. So, was Fort a scam? Well, I don't think so. Connor was just a normal guy from St. Louis with a family. He lost his job, took a chance on a good idea, raised a ton of money on Kickstarter, and was in way over his head. While it's horrible that 10,000 backers lost money, I think it's safe to say Connor and his family lost a lot more, and I hope that everyone can have some empathy in this situation. But we're not ending this story on a sad note. There are 3 things we can all take away from this Kickstarter tragedy. First, be careful with heavy discounting. Connor discounted by 50% on the first day. He wanted to entice backers to get in early, and it worked a little too well. Many creators think you need to have aggressive discounting for the launch to perform, but that's just not true. Connor even shared on Shark Tank that he was able to sell $250,000 worth of product at $499 after the campaign ended. This was twice what he sold it for on Kickstarter, so clearly the market was willing to pay more. Second, always charge for shipping and don't do it until right before you have to ship. Connor charged for shipping way too soon. Once the shipping rates doubled, he was in deep water. You do not have to charge for shipping during the Kickstarter campaign, and actually I would advise against it. Instead, charge for shipping as late as possible so you don't lose money. This is ultimately better for both the creator and the backer. Third, if you are a first-time creator, avoid raising too much. Raising millions on Kickstarter sounds great, but can quickly turn into a nightmare. Connor had nearly 10,000 backers he had to ship product to. Once things started going wrong, each issue was multiplied by those 10,000 backers. When you're just starting out, there's nothing wrong with only raising what you need. That way, when you inevitably run into issues, you'll be able to manage them. Fort's story teaches us an invaluable lesson. No matter how innovative your idea is, navigating the complex world of business requires experience and extensive planning. So let this story be a reminder that while innovation is essential, a robust business strategy and financial acumen are equally crucial, or you might end up like the guys in this next story. For our next story, we're flying into the stormy saga of the ZANO drone. This Kickstarter product soared high with dreams, but crashed in the harsh reality of tech development. How did Europe's once most funded Kickstarter end in a disaster? Let's find out. It's November 2014, and CEO Ivan Reedman and his team at the UK-based company named Torking Group Limited unveils ZANO. Promising to be the world's most sophisticated nano drone, ZANO captured the imagination of many. It was tiny, could capture photos and videos, and was controlled by a smartphone app. But its standout feature was autonomy, the ability to pilot itself. With the dream of shrinking military-grade nano UAVs to consumer-friendly sizes, Ivan captured the attention of the masses. ZANO soared on Kickstarter, raising 2.3 million euros in 45 days. And because they, quote, conservatively estimated a June delivery, the world watched, eagerly waiting to receive this record-breaking drone. But as the deadline approached, complications emerged. The promised June release slipped by with no ZANO in sight. It wasn't until September that some units began shipping, but not to backers. Instead, they went to later pre-orders, sparking outrage among the initial supporters. Those who received their ZANOs found them barely functional. They were erratic, with poor video quality, and lacked basic features like obstacle avoidance. This was a far cry from the sophisticated drone promised in the campaign. Then the bombshell dropped. In November, CEO Ivan Reitman resigned, citing irreconcilable differences. And just 8 days later, Torking Group announced its liquidation. The dream had turned into a nightmare. The once celebrated ZANO project was now Kickstarter's biggest scam. Or was it? Kickstarter, facing mounting questions, commissioned an investigation by journalist Mark Harris. His conclusion? It wasn't deliberate fraud, but gross incompetence. Yes, the Torking Group directors may have paid themselves higher salaries and bought a few unnecessary items like a new BMW, but they did mount a serious effort to make the drone. In the end, they had dramatically overshot their capabilities and drained their finances. With all that said, I wouldn't say they're completely off the hook. Backers pointed to their Kickstarter promotional videos, which were extremely misleading. The video shows ZANO doing things that no production unit was ever able to do. Clearly, it was clever editing or doctored in post-production. So, while I don't think ZANO was a straight-up scam, I do think they intentionally misled backers into believing that ZANO was already capable of all the features they were promoting on their campaign. The truth was that they aspired to add many of the features they marketed and didn't make that clear in their marketing. Alright, lesson time. First, do not claim your product can do something it cannot. Seems pretty obvious, but some creators succumb to the temptation. In ZANO's case, they believed they could create all the features they promised, but weren't able to do so. It's just too risky to promote anything you haven't proven to be able to create yet. Second, under-promise and over-deliver when it comes to shipping. ZANO claimed that they could ship within 5 months of the campaign ending. Developing, manufacturing, packaging, and shipping out thousands of units is super hard, especially when your product is a brand new technology. It's much better to actually be conservative with your shipping estimates and beat them than to feel the pressure from your backers to hit a deadline and miss it. This can cause you to make some stupid decisions that don't set you up for long-term success. Third, stretch goals are not always a good thing. ZANO hit all 4 of its stretch goals, meaning they now had to build in the ability to take 360-degree panoramic shots, a swarming feature, and more. In most cases, adding stretch goals to the campaign isn't a great idea. They typically add more complexity and cost for the creators, which means more delays or potential failures, which is bad for backers. So instead of fulfilling its promise of being a groundbreaking drone, the ZANO backers were left disappointed and frustrated with the dreams of a high-flying nano drone grounded. The ZANO story serves as a vivid reminder of the importance of setting realistic goals from the outset and providing transparent updates to backers throughout the development process. By the way, if you want to do crowdfunding the right way, you should check out my book, Crowdfunded. The book will teach you how to bring your product idea to life step by step. It's actually the best-selling book on crowdfunding in the world, with 4.7 out of 5 stars from 245 reviews. And I just released the new edition in August 2023, and both the CEO of Kickstarter and the CEO of Indiegogo endorsed it. Anyways, you can get it on Kindle, print, or even audiobook that I recorded myself. I'll leave a link for you to check it out in the corner of this video and in the description below. Anyway, on to our last Kickstarter horror story. Here's a Kickstarter scam that had the chess world under its thumb, the REGIUM Wonderboard. The REGIUM Wonderboard made a bold entrance into the crowdfunding scene, promising to revolutionize chess with a self-moving chessboard tailored for rapid and blitz games online. It was a chess lover's dream, and it gained attention through a compelling video that captured the imagination of many. It looked like the future of chess and even raised $43,000 on the first day. But then everything went really wrong really fast. Despite the initial excitement and visually impressive video, there were serious doubts about the feasibility of the technology REGIUM advertised. Technical experts and chess enthusiasts quickly called fraud on REGIUM's claims. REGIUM actually posted a demo video that was really just a collection of stolen videos from the internet. 4 of the people on their team page were discovered to be AI generated, and the chessboards themselves were made by the company Retropatos Ferrer, who confirmed they had not collaborated with REGIUM in any way. That meant REGIUM bought an existing chessboard, put a USB cable into the bottom of it, and used clever video editing to make it seem like the product worked. As skepticism mounted, REGIUM's inability to present a working prototype became a major red flag, and the community's doubts grew. By this point, REGIUM had already been advertised on the world's largest chess site, chess.com. And when chess.com found out that this product didn't really exist, they posted this press release, and then all hell broke loose. Imagine being a backer who was thrilled by the idea of this revolutionary chessboard, only to learn that it might not be possible. The REGIUM backers were left perplexed and skeptical, and the campaign began to unravel. Legions of angry chess fans started leaving comments on their videos. Chess community veterans from Lichess started warning potential backers in the Kickstarter comments. And only 7 days after the launch, Kickstarter suspended the campaign, which thankfully meant that every backer got their money back. So is this one a scam? Oh, 100% yes. This was not an honest attempt like some of the other projects I covered in this video. REGIUM was just trying to take people's money, and they would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for the meddling kids. So, what's the lesson we can draw from the REGIUM debacle? The REGIUM story isn't just about a failed project, it's a powerful lesson in the importance of due diligence. It underscores the need for healthy skepticism, especially towards projects that promise revolutionary technology without credible demonstrations. It also shows how good Kickstarter and the community is at spotting scams, and more importantly, spotting them quickly. In the game of crowdfunding, it's crucial to think several moves ahead. Stay curious, but also stay cautious. Although, stories like the REGIUM saga shouldn't be looked at as reasons to dampen your enthusiasm for crowdfunding. Instead, let it serve as a valuable lesson in critical thinking and community vigilance. Let's actually use this story to learn some valuable tips on how to spot a crowdfunding scam. Tip number 1, check the team's experience. First, make sure they exist. I'm looking at you, REGIUM. Check social media sites like LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Then ask the next most crucial question. Has this group ever made hardware before? Manufacturing is a complex beast with countless pitfalls. Make sure the team either has experience in what they are building or is working with a reputable company that has that experience. Even experienced teams can face unexpected delays and obstacles, so be cautious even if a project looks polished. Tip 2, make sure the claims are proven with unedited video. It's easy to make an edited marketing video that makes it appear like the product can do everything. Clever editing or post-production work can hide a lot. Push the creator to provide unedited footage that shows the product in action. This will force them to prove that the product can do what they claim it can do. Tip number 3, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. If it has 10 groundbreaking features and ships next month, something's fishy. There have been other products like REGIUM before, but nothing was anywhere as close to as small, fast, and quiet. This raised red flags for many, which ultimately led to their downfall. If your spidey sense is tingling, listen to it. Tip 4, lofty promises often equal broken promises. Overfunding can be a red flag. Making 10,000 units as a first-time creator is an incredibly difficult task. Overfunded projects attempt to do too much at once and often suffer delays and quality issues. Good projects often set realistic limits to manage this. Tip 5, beware if it already exists. Watch for rebranded off-the-shelf products. With a little digging, people were able to find out that REGIUM was using another company's chessboard. Do your homework. Look through Amazon and Alibaba.com and read news coverage to check for authenticity. Spotting a Kickstarter scam isn't always easy, but with these 5 tips, you're better equipped to make informed decisions. Remember, crowdfunding is about supporting innovation, but also about being vigilant and smart with your money. Keep these tips in mind and you'll not only avoid scams, but also help foster genuine innovation on Kickstarter. Which reminds me, what is Kickstarter's stance on scammers? Kickstarter makes one thing very clear from the start. When you back a project, you're entering into a commitment, not a guarantee. The platform has become a launchpad for new ideas, but it's important to remember that backing projects are not without risk. You could lose all your money, and Kickstarter doesn't hold liability for that. With all that said, Kickstarter is 100% against scams and has a whole department dedicated to trying to stop them. They also have a strict requirement for functional prototypes. When creators have to build a functional prototype first, they really get to grips with what's possible. This means that they are less likely to make unachievable claims, and backers have a clearer view of what they're supporting. To wrap this up, Kickstarter isn't perfect, but has gotten a lot better since its beginning in 2009. Failures still happen, but outright scams are very few and far between. Remember, tens of thousands of projects launch on Kickstarter every year, and nearly 100% of these projects are legit. So don't let a few bad apples spoil your view of crowdfunding. Instead, if you're a creator, take what you learned today and launch your campaign the right way. Or if you're a backer, go back a legit project and help a creator bring their idea to life. By the way, if you're serious about launching a Kickstarter campaign the right way, my team and I would love to chat. At LaunchBoom, we not only help creators market their product, but through our LaunchBoom sourcing program, we also help creators develop, manufacture, and deliver their product. You'll work directly with experts like Kian Golzeri, who has personally sourced over 25,000 products. Our goal is to make sure creators don't just launch a successful product, but a successful business. Just click the link on this video or in the description below, fill out a few questions, and I'll get you connected to the right expert on my team. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you want more stuff like this this video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all in the next one.